Let's spin here.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't bring my silver bullet.
It's okay. I'm not mad.
Yeah. Good thing our sponsors aren't watching. Otherwise, they'd be very disappointed.
Like Daniel Defense and those places, they're not.
Yeah, we need to get all those guys on board. They haven't answered any of my emails. It's kind of irritating me.
Yeah, when you send an email to like a really big person or company and they don't reply back, it's usually a sign that
it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah. Just keep trying.
Keep trying. We'll be all right. You good to go?
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Hello, all y'all out in podcast land and on YouTube if you're watching. Thanks for joining James and myself today, Silver Bullet Podcast. Hope you guys, first of all, had an excellent Independence Day weekend. Quite a bit of fun activities for all the family. I know you had some fun with your family. I obviously had fun with my family and ran around and just kind of relaxed. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
Kind of cool. Good to do that every once in a while.
Good to celebrate.
Yeah, but we are back on the grind now, or at least trying to, over a long weekend. And
Crawling in here.
Yeah, and, you know, we are going to talk about some stuff today that is a little bit more, I don't know, how would you phrase this? How would you put this into like a category?
One word, just mindset. You know,
Yeah.
we talk about that a lot in here. So how can we help our members and then just anyone, paying attention to us, develop a more robust, disciplined, tough, mindset, mental toughness.
I think that the best part about this is that it's coming at a very opportunistic time of the year. You know, we're halfway through the year.
Right.
Essentially, is kind of what we just celebrated. So we're halfway through the year, 2021, and if 2021 is not going the way that you want it to so far, you still got a lot of time.
Ton of time.
You got a lot of time, and a lot of things that could happen. So essentially what James and I are going to do, and depending on how much we ramble onto any of this stuff, we might take this into another episode here in the next couple of weeks, but like we definitely want to talk about, even from a business owner's perspective, and you'll be able to put the most insight on this, and me more from trying to run said business from the inside and knowing the people a little bit more on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. We know who comes in here by person, but we also know why they come in here based on, I'm trying to use another word besides goal. What am I looking for here? What do they want?
Right.
Okay, what do they want? What are the biggest things they want? And how they always word to us what they want doesn't always sound the same, but it is the overall same goal. Most people are overweight and want to lose weight, but they will word that very differently.
Right.
Want to lose body fat, want to get off blood pressure medication, want to feel happy, feel healthy in their own skin, have a little bit better self-esteem. All of these things we hear quite a bit, and they all come in the form of different terminology that they use, but there's always one underlying thing that we can point out, and that comes down to a really a mindset. And so that's kind of the thing that we're talking about. Is at least we can look at it like, what are the issues that we are addressed with when people walk through our door for a service, okay? And you can identify with one of them. I guarantee you, whoever you are out here, you can identify with one of them, and hopefully it will alter the way that you look about health, alter the way that you look about training or workouts. Maybe it'll alter the way that you look at how you treat your body in the facility or in your gym or in your box or wherever you are training or in your garage, and hopefully how you train your body outside of your garage. It's just different ways to think about this thing. Okay, there's too many people telling you to do too many different things with a specific direction you have to go, and it's the biggest uphill battle that we face 100% of the time, is the battle of the mind and determining what I should be doing, how I should be thinking about what I'm doing, and so on and so forth. So where do you want to start so I can catch my breath?
Right. Yeah. Like just to kind of just build from the top there a little bit, when I was prepping some notes and writing some things down, the two of the like first questions I ever ask anyone when they walk in through the door is, what brings you in here, or how can I help out? And Colton kind of mentioned it, but our biggest job realistically is to help you solve your problems, so you're able to reach your, like you mentioned earlier, goals. Everyone has specific things in here that they want to do and that they want to accomplish. and there's a very different path, more than likely, for everyone to take, as far as the like small little nuance type things. So instead of us, starting Reclaim and sitting down with this individual and saying like, hey, all right, now we're gonna wave our magic wand, and if you just show up and come in here 2 times a week, we're smile at them, we're gonna be able to help you out. That's just how it works. And we both laugh, and I'm laughing specifically because I still have some of those more difficult conversations with my health coaching clients, like getting them to understand in the first 60 to 90 days, really exercise sometimes for a newer person might be the least beneficial thing for you to do.
Yeah. And the unfortunate part about that is that it is getting worse as we get deeper and deeper into this new generation that's coming up. And even I've noticed that, because you could take somebody, I think back to when I did, and I know you guys have heard us reference me running a CrossFit gym, but I can even think back to, it would have been, what year is it now, 21? It would have been 7 years ago in a CrossFit gym. There were people that could literally come in and they could pick up movements, they could pick out training, and they could do all these different things so much easier. And then you ask them about their life, they really have a pretty well-rounded, very routine-driven life. This is what I do, this is how I do it, and I'm just throwing this in as just an additional variable to my training. And it's that's great. There were plenty of people who had issues they needed to solve there, but it seemed like they were able to pick up something, and exercise was maybe the length that they really needed. But today is so weird because there's a lot of people who come in, they're like, I need to do this exercise, I need to do this program because this is what they do for work. It's almost like they're grasping at straws, like, holy cow, I have to do this. Yeah. When in all reality, you sit and have that initial conversation with them, and you realize that they're newly married. They live a very stressful life. They do either a lot of traveling or they do a lot of sitting and having difficult conversations with people. Their blood pressure raises 17 times throughout the day, but it's not natural. Things like that, and you're like, holy cow. The amount of stress your body is under, there's no way that this could be beneficial for you based on telling me the things that you want. There's a lot of things that you need to understand right out the gate. Right. I've always found that to be kind of weird because it in between me and you and obviously Bryce and other coaches in here, we've talked about that. It's like the person coming in now almost needs a more regressed starting point than where we all think that we need to start when we get in here.
For sure.
And it's not a bad thing. It's a healthy thing to acknowledge that. And I think a lot of the people that really do open their eyes up and they're like, yeah, this is where my biggest fault lies. When they tackle it that way, they are tremendously more consistent in their successes as they move forward.
Right. Well, and we have to ask ourselves the questions, hold ourselves accountable to the notion, if I'm going to help you solve your specific problems, I have to know the most difficult thing that you're not able to overcome. What's the thing that's going to continue to just drag you down, or the hurdle that you just simply can't get over, whatever it is. Some, it might be a lack of discipline with food. Others, it may be just, hitting the snooze button in the morning. I mean, there's all of these things going on, but if we don't ever wrestle with that specific problem, it's going to be very difficult for us to take you to the next step. So kind of where I'm getting at with this, when you and I talked and mentioned this podcast, individuals come in here, they want specific things. What brings them in the door? But even more so than that, what led you to the point where you want to change something about yourself?
We've kind of talked about that before. Unfortunately, these days, with the generation that predominantly occupies our facility, unfortunately, it comes from some type of catastrophic event or a life event that happens either with themselves personally or somebody close or some family member. Could be a parent, could be a grandparent, could be anybody. But we're, I would say the age demographic in our facility ranges anywhere from 30 to 60 predominantly. We're in the adult category, very much so. We all live fairly simple lives. We have 9 to 5s. We have our blue collar working, especially down here in southeastern Indiana. But most of the time when somebody comes into us and that final pushing point was made, it was a catastrophic event, or it was bad news from their doctor, or it was, a family member passed away due to some type of lifestyle condition, and they're following along. Like, it's always something like that, which is unfortunate. But I'd rather you have that button pushed at some point. Better late than never type of deal. But there's always somebody's got a different reason for wanting to come in. I mean, have you ever had any different, or
Well, I mean, and then it's the more obvious, the like, I want to lose weight. Let's say an individual, they're 40, 50, 60 pounds overweight. And
but what happened when you walked in front of the mirror the other day and you're like, I want to lose weight? Like, what was the pushing point?
Exactly.
Was it having to walk in front of the mirror 30 times that day? Was it, the fact that your grocery bill was something outrageous that, I don't know.
Someone said something, there's an event coming up. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So for us, it's our responsibility to press into that, because we have to help our clients understand so it doesn't become a problem again. Hopefully, like what has caused you to gain all of this weight?
Yeah.
If we're not working on and wrestling with those questions anywhere, are we really helping anyone out?
Yeah. And, there's plenty of people who do wrestle with that, and it's a good thing. And sometimes it can over-consume them a little bit, but there's more people that just ignore the fact that this thing kind of behind me, like the monkey on their back, is what continues to drag them to that place they don't want to be. And there's plenty of people who work out every day. They're in the exact same boat. They think that the workouts are going to do everything they need for them, or that they're only working out for their mental sanity. Like, I think that's one of the funniest things in the world. Like, you're literally going to come try to solve your mental problems with a barbell. Like, good luck with that. That barbell is going to piss you off more than anything. So it's one of those things where, you have to identify your biggest problem, and that's not a fun thing to do. Nobody wants to sit down and think, okay, what do I suck at?
Yeah.
What is really making me put on weight? What are the things that I love that I don't want to get rid of, but I should?
Right.
What are my vices, so to speak? Yeah. And nobody wants to face that bear, but it's definitely one of the biggest things that you can do, because it opens up an emotional freedom to you. And I've said that many times on this podcast, like, to have that emotional release where it's like, I don't have to worry about this anymore, because I have acknowledged it as something that is not going to hold any type of weight on me. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, my complete opinion in that matter is this would, I'm not romanticizing about the past, but I do feel the awareness and the use of social media, as far as like creating this facade for an individual, like, who do I want others to see me to be? This is who I'm going to create online. And then it's just not the same person that you are in public and at home and everything else. So it's like individuals are living two completely different lives and constantly at war with that,
Yeah, that is definitely a very contradictory environment. And people try to make it work. There are a lot of people that are successful with it, a lot of people that really kind of struggle. Mm-hmm. Now, the most important thing is that those conversations are had.
Right. I think what I'm getting at, was I think as a society, more than likely, we used to do a much better job at wrestling with and having those conversations. Like you said, what do I suck at?
Right.
Why am I gaining all this weight? Let's do something about it, instead of finding a support group online that, makes you feel better about the way that you are.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things that's pretty challenging, but one of those things that inevitably you're going to have to deal with. You got to find the problem, you got to identify the problem, you got to face the problem. Otherwise, the problem will never cease to leave you alone.
It's not going to fix itself.
No, never.
Yeah, if we don't work on identifying the problem at hand, and we just continue to kind of push it aside, we don't work on that specific thing. If no one's holding us accountable to it, you're never going to get to where it is that you want to be, because that thing is always just going to rear its ugly head.
Yeah. Have any personal advice you could give to anybody? Any of the things that you had to deal with? I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head.
When I used to lift heavy, especially with anger, right when I was in college, my family went through some difficult stuff. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and I. Fortunately, we've grown and worked through that season. I think all of us are better because of it. But for me, that just brought on a lot of issues, and much like you said earlier, I tried to handle things in the weight room.
Okay, so here's the perfect example. I mean, yeah,
was not a good thing for my body. I mean, I consumed calories and worked out as intensely and as hard as I could for as long as I could, and I got super strong.
How old were you at this time, by the way? Were you still in your teens or early 20s?
20, 21, 22. But so then when I turned 23,
prime,
right, things started to go downhill because I'd abused the system.
Yeah.
I was jacked, I was strong, I felt great, I looked at times as good as I ever needed to, but on the inside, nothing was
working right.
Didn't deal with the root cause.
Yeah, that was, that's exactly kind of what I was getting at, as far as, there's a lot of people that lift angry. There are a lot of people that market just lifting angry. Mm-hmm. I think it can be a healthy outlet if there are no other possible outlets available.
Right.
But I think a lot of people aren't going to look at identifying the root cause as step number one, because they'd rather pay a hefty price to go to a membership and just get their anger out, even though that's just going to continually just, like you said, rear its ugly head until it either beats you down and forces you to do it and deal with it later, or unfortunately in the lifting world, people who continually deal with stress in the weight room essentially become injured.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not really a way to sugarcoat that one. It's going to take one day where your body's not capable of handling what you want it to do, and you know what that's going to do. It's going to make you more angry.
Right.
And then guess what's going to happen? You're going to get more angry, and then all of a sudden it comes down in a hurry. Yeah. It's not a pretty picture.
I think the ability to be super disciplined up here, when I love to lift heavy. I still do, and I don't compete anymore, but I still love to lift heavy. I enjoy that. But now when I approach weight, as I'm putting weight on, I know when it's okay, you didn't, whatever you did the last couple days have brought you to a point right now where you don't deserve what you're asking your body to do. So you better chill out.
This is funny because this plays really well to a conversation I had this morning with one of the large groups that I was coaching. We just got through with the July 4th weekend. Mm-hmm. Okay. We are in week number 5 of our strength camp, and the percentages continue to climb. Right now we're doing 80% lifts on our main stuff. And we're doing more of a on-the-minute style training. We have very specific rest periods. It's not easy. And 80% for 5 reps, anybody knows it's not a cakewalk. It's pretty challenging, especially for 8 total sets or more. So one of the things that I said this morning was that my excitement level for strength camp and the opportunity that it brings right now is peaked out because I love 80% work. I love 80% work. We're now getting into what I consider true strength training.
Right.
But, and I preface that with but, we just got done with a weekend where I know all of us in here, and everybody remembers our age demographic here, between 30 and 60. We're not 21-year-old party kids, but we try to be, and that's dangerous. Right. And so I said, we're not going to use this day as this specific day. I think we're back squatting today. We're not going to use this specific day as the indicator whether or not this is going well, because I know good and well how everybody's going to look here in about 20 minutes. But I said by the end of this week, we're going to know who's been doing things right and who's been doing things wrong.
Right.
Because you get to the point where you don't give your body what it needs in order to sustain this. It's going to show very quickly. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have these little pipsqueak people that were beside you didn't think were doing much. They're going to be passing you in a hurry when it comes to the accessory work and everything. Your body's just going to shut down.
Yeah.
And so we've been preaching that. One of the first things I tell people in here from a physical standpoint, if you're doing anything in here, or if you're not doing anything in here, you could at least be drinking water. Like, you want to get stronger, drink your water. And I literally say that 20 times a class or more if I think about it. I know. So that's a perfect example about, you know, making sure your body has what it needs in order to sustain what you want it to. Mm-hmm. That's a mindset thing. Right. Yeah, nobody was going to go through the July 4th weekend being nice and mellow, thinking about their 80% squats they had on Tuesday. Like, nobody thought about that. And that's not necessarily realistic either. But you do have to have these conversations because, you know, even though it was a large holiday, like, what are you doing next weekend? There's a good chance if you're around here, you're probably going to go meet up with some friends and do pretty much the exact same thing you did last week.
Pool and having some cold beverages.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that you have to continually weigh. It does not get easier as you get older. Mm-hmm. It gets harder. And I fully support everybody, you know, exercising their rights as humans out here. But, you know, it's one of those things you gotta wrestle with. So it's a good mindset thing to think about as far as. And I know if you didn't listen to the podcast. Last podcast we did, we talked about that a lot as far as granting your body what it needs to sustain specific training, and that is 100% a mindset thing. But it does go back to the ugly point we were talking about. Like, if you have a quote unquote problem or a vice or something you need to give up in order to sustain it, you have to deal with it right off the rip. Yeah, I think for a lot of people, I was going to throw out another one. It maybe not necessarily a vice, but something they're not willing to put a lot of time into fixing. Right. Sleep.
For sure. I want to mention something really quick while it's on my mind. If you're listening to this, the person that we are able to help the most, and it takes an individual a bit to get to this, but when I have someone walk in and they just like lay it out there, they're super transparent. They know, like, look, I struggle with this. I'm horrible at that. This is where I need your help and accountability. I know that I'm weak as a kitten, and all of these things. They have a really good awareness of where they are, and an expectation of where they want to be. You know, they're not trying to hide anything from anyone. It's much easier to hold that person accountable to their specific things. But the hardest thing for us in coaching, I feel, I make this analogy all the time. Well, guess, like, how can I help you out? You don't know what you want to do, so like where are we at in this relationship? The difference with a team, football, baseball, whatever, they're not paying the coach to be there. No. So the coach, therefore, isn't there to make them happy. They're there to win games. So they're going to field and hold accountable in accordance with that. You know, so for what we do with the business owner here, we do want our clients to enjoy coming in here, but we also want to, like, walk that thin line, like, look, this is the expectation, and you're kind of down here. The expectation based on what you tell me you want. Right. Yeah, it's not that you pay me money, therefore, you know, you have to walk this line. It's not. Everybody can do whatever the hell they want, but we have that very vulnerable conversation where you have emptied everything out. Now your guard is completely down, and we are on the exact same page. Now there's an expectation. There's an expectation for what you need to do for that to happen. Because we talk about all the time in our staff meetings, you know, we fully support the individual that comes in and they say, look, I'm only going to come in here a couple times a week. I'm good with where I'm at. I just want to maintain. I love everyone here. I'm going to laugh and have a good time, and I'm going to support you guys while we're doing it. I'm going to give that person a high five and continue. Yeah, because they've owned what it is they want to do, and they know that that's the path that they're on. Yeah. And there's not too many. I think that takes a lot of. Can't think of the word I want to use. A lot of gumption to do that too. But I mean, for somebody to say, like, I'm good. Right. I am good. Mm-hmm. There's not many people that be I'm good with where I'm at right now. There's not too many people that say that. Yeah. There's some people that, like, have a day where they're like, nah, I'm kind of good today. But, like, ultimately, what are you doing here? Ultimately, what do you want? Right. You know what I mean? I think to a fault, people sometimes get annoyed with our relentless pursuit of their goals. To the point where they're like, you know, I want you to achieve your goal more than you do, and that can be problematic and can be headbutting at some points. But it is what it is. You can't be in this business if you're not passionate about it. Honestly, if you're a coach listening to this and you're not passionate like that, you're in the wrong profession. You can't be wasting people's time like that. Well, you probably don't have any results to speak of for your clientele. Well, that's the thing. Do you want a gym? Unless you're playing hopscotch. Well, that's the thing. Do you want a gym where people are seeing results, or do you just want people where everybody's high-fiving and, hey, let's go
pound some McUltras afterwards.
There you go.
You know, it kind of depends on what gym you want.
Yeah. Market it for that. That's the thing.
It's a thing. Yeah. We're pretty specific about, you know, who we want to help out in here, and I don't think it's a negative thing. I think it's just us growing as a business a little bit more, to be a bit more specific. So, to kind of get back on track here, I think that, you know, whenever you're looking at training, you're looking at improving your lifestyle, you're looking at improving your health, you're doing this, you have to pay attention to what your biggest factor is, your contradictory factor, the thing that is going to prevent you from getting there. Mm-hmm. And you need to tell somebody about it.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the hardest part.
Yep.
Spouse, friend, I think they can be helpful at times, but I think you need to tell somebody that you have no, I don't want to say relationship with or no emotional stock. You need somebody who has no...
They're a robot.
Really, they have no skin in the game.
Right.
Okay? Because they are unapologetically going to help you.
Yep.
Your spouse or whatnot, like, here's the reason why you don't coach your spouse when it comes to weightlifting, even though I'm currently doing that. Is there are days where, you know, my wife is lifting competitively, and there are things that I want her to work on, and there are things where when they come out of my mouth, she thinks that I'm telling her she's the world's worst person and I hate her and she should never lift again. It's not what I'm saying. It's just...
Must have been the day for that conversation.
Well, it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, let me retract my words here, and then I'm like, you know what? It's not that important. I love you. It's fine. We'll deal with it later. I was unapologetically trying to help her, and that kind of hurt our relationship for about 20 minutes. So if you tell your significant other or you tell your best friend what your biggest problem is, and you slip up one time, they're probably going to tell you, like, hey, remember, you weren't supposed to do this.
Right.
But guess what happens when you do it again? And again. Mm-hmm. And again. They kind of back off a little bit of their stringent ways because you're at the end of the day, you're still the spouse, you're still my best friend, you're still this. That's why I think you need to tell somebody who has no skin in the game, because that person, you know, unfortunately doesn't really care what your feelings are. If they are there to try to help you achieve something, they're going to make sure you know about it. Like, there are people that I train with in here, and Bryce, our other coach, he trains with in here, who we specifically want to train with because we 100% zero bullshit with them. And you're laughing because I know you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
If they don't show up, we're giving them crap.
Yeah.
If they're not working out hard, we're giving them crap. If they're skipping around things, not doing things right, if we're not doing things, they're reciprocating that right back to us. That's the kind of stuff that we want in here because we know that it will help us. You know, the coaches from a mindset standpoint have an elevated understanding of everything that's going on. But we still need the accountability. We still need all of that stuff as well.
Right.
We're not above that by any means. We might have a little bit more discipline, but there are still days where there are still days where I'm feeling a little nap sounds a lot better than a workout, but that's why you have those people.
Right.
And those people they don't really have any skin in the game for me. Like, if I achieve what I want, they don't benefit from that necessarily. That's the kind of people you need to tell that information to, in my opinion.
Yeah. When I'll add on that just a little bit. When I'm working with newer health coaching clients, and if you find benefit in this information, use it. When we're setting goals, I tell them, all right, like, now that we have this thing established, I want you to list what are the 3, outcomes, benefits of you achieving this specific thing. Okay. Like, I give them homework, and then also I want you to write down, all right, what are the 3 consequences if you don't reach this specific goal? Like, how's it going to sting and hurt a little bit? And furthermore from that, I ask them, give me a list of individuals, 3 people who are going to support you in this process. And then give me 3 people who are going to pull you down away from this thing. And I'm like, where there's overlap, there has to be conversation.
Yes. That's an excellent part.
A spouse could be the person to help you, but they very well also may be the person that's going to bring you down. And if that's enlightening to you, you want to share that, like, information, like, hey, honey, I love you, but I do want to work on these things. Can you help me out with
I specifically had that conversation with one of my nutrition clients this past cycle. And ironically, we just finished up today, and it finished out very well. I was very proud of her for how everything went. And that was a similar situation. Family, significant other, friends, very she's a very social person. Like I want to be around my friends, my family, significant other. I want to hang out. I want to love on all of them. She's a big lover. She's a great person. Had a very hard time getting people on her side about, the changes she was going to make.
Right.
And it finally came down to like the second week, and we're tracking food, we're doing all this, and I was like, look, it's going to break my heart to have this stern conversation with you, but we got to have it.
Yep.
Because you're essentially going to go 12 weeks of doing this, and nothing will come of it if we don't identify this. And the first thing that I told her to do was to tell people, when she was getting grief, essentially, or she was trying to stand her ground, like, I was like, literally tell them that you love them. Like, look, I love you and I appreciate our friendship, but what I want to do does not line up with what you are saying.
Right.
It really isn't. And to establish that kind of framework from the get-go is so much easier than sitting here and trying to do it for a year and a half, and then finally like, okay, look, we got to talk. You know what I mean? That was the first thing I said. Is like, you have to put it out there to the point where it's not a life or death thing. However, for some people, it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat the food that you make, and I don't want to drink the stuff that you make. I don't want to partake in this. I want to be here and socialize and hang out, but like, this is legitimately for my health, for her specifically. And I'm not going to talk about her specific health thing because that'd be a violation of her HIPAA rights. But anyways, like, that's just, for some people, you have to take that approach. And you can't be afraid to take that approach.
Right.
You can't be afraid to put people on the fence and say, I need you to choose one way or another because I've already chosen.
Right.
Like, you're not going to lose people. If anything, you're going to have an impact on them.
Well, yeah, and accountability is it is a lost thing completely. We just keep talking about that. Like, man, these guys, discipline, accountability, mental toughness, yada, yada. Like, we'll probably be talking about the same stuff 10 years from now. I would assume, if the health of our country doesn't start to shift the other direction. But anyway, when you have those conversations with individuals, it opens up the door for then there to be some potential light shown in on areas that maybe they do want to change, but and it's going to be harder up front and initially than it will be 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks from the point of the conversation. It's always going to be a struggle in the beginning. Like, I can't eat that because it's not really healthy for me, or I can't drink that thing because it's not going to help me reach my goal. Everyone's going to take that personal. Yeah, right away.
Too good to do what we're doing.
Right.
Or that's all it is. Yeah, you're too good to do what we're doing. What we're doing is not good for you. It kind of puts you on a pedestal above us. It's not that. It's identifying that what might be good for you in whatever capacity. It doesn't have to be health. Might be mental sanity. I don't know. Right. Whatever's good for you is not necessarily good for me.
Yep.
And that's all it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the egotistical mindset from that a person all they hear from that conversation, and like, look, I've been there, that's why I understand this greatly. So what you're saying is you can't be with us because you're not going to participate in these things, instead of like, well, all right, how can we still be together, how can we hang out, how can we still be in relationship and make this work, how can we be adults, right?
Believe it or not, that's proven to be pretty challenging these days, but it is. I think I go back to, like, when you invest in somebody who's going to develop your mental toughness, it could be probably one of the best mental investments or best investments overall that you make. Who that person is and how you specifically invest in that person, that's kind of up to you. Could very well be a health coach, could be a counselor, could be somebody you have no idea who it is off the street. I wouldn't recommend that, but it's just, you find somebody who has the information that you need and has the ability to keep you on the straight and narrow while you're doing it. Man, for too many people, the straight and narrow, they've been on it multiple times. It's a matter of just staying on it. That's why the accountability stuff is boring work. The boring work works, and it's ultimately what lets somebody be sustainable in their training. It helps somebody maintain their progress. you see a lot of peaks and valleys with people, and it all has to do with them falling off. Like, it's even the words that they use. Like, I fell off the wagon. You know, that's the old expression. Like, well, why the hell was a wagon moving side to side? You know what I mean? Like, how'd you fall off? How does that work? You know? And too many times it's, you know, people have one isolated goal and they get really close to it and say, oh, that was good enough. Okay, now I'm going to go do my own thing for 6 more weeks. And then I'll come up with another isolated goal. Like, to have a really long progressive plan, it can always change, but like to have something they're always working on and have somebody always to answer to,
right,
that could be game changing.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're talking specifically about kind of more of the mindset stuff. The people who come through our facility doors, you know, where we kind of start with people, especially now. We didn't always start this way. It's just more of a trial and error and identifying things as they come up. But the biggest thing that we do now is that we don't fix a problem. We identify what caused the problem. We try to fix that. We try to fix the thing that caused you to walk through the door. We're not going to fix anything in here.
No.
In here is a variable. It's the whole equation.
This is the easy part. And you guys have heard us say that several times. But and to educate our demographic that I can't solve these specific things for you. I can help you understand what is going on, and I can point you right to it. But I can't make you make the decision.
No, that's the whole can't drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink thing. I use that a lot for nutrition. Everybody wants nutrition information. Nutrition information is great. Doesn't matter if you don't do it.
Right.
But yeah, I look at too many different, you know, things in the health realm where you can use the modern day healthcare system as it is right now. Unfortunately, we're always trying to fix what is superficial. Okay, I got a cut, I put a Band-Aid on it. Well, what caused the cut? Well, it's that fence that's sticking out that my kid runs over and back from 10 times a day. Well, maybe we fix that instead of buying stock and Band-Aids. You know what I mean? You fix what causes the problem, and the ultimate goal is that there ceases to be problems that exist, right? So when we have gyms, we have facilities, you can see an extreme dynamic, it's not the word I wanted to use. There's a continuum. On each side of the continuum, there are a lot of different polar opposite views of what a gym should consist of. We're at least laying out what ours looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, there are plenty of gyms out there that on one end of the spectrum, that's the word I was looking for. One end of the spectrum, you have somebody who believes that, you know, the only way that you're going to get anything done is if you count your calories, and you come in here and you sweat, and we put a weird color light on the inside, so that way your body can think that it's burning more calories. And then we do conditioning stuff. Okay, there's one end of the spectrum.
Get your heart rate up.
Get your heart rate up.
Make you feel like you worked hard.
That's right. Then there's the other spectrum that says, you know what, we have cool machines. If you hop on one of them and move them, you know, all will be right in the world.
They're safe.
They're safe. And you can grab a slice of pizza on the way out. There's another spectrum. I'm going to make you wish that you were never born, and you're going to be dying in your puddle of sweat and blood, and you'll essentially be peeing out myoglobin for the rest of your life. There's one spectrum. Okay, obviously I'm being a smartass in my explanations here, but like, you guys get what I'm getting at, is that there are different things to achieve different goals. But the goal for one person could have went to all three of those different facilities and had different instruction. They could have had different understanding. They could have had different mindset. Okay, well, here's our mindset, and here's why we think that way.
Lay it out there, baby.
It's what it is. You have a problem.
Yep.
Everybody who comes in here has a problem. You look at it like that. Okay, I don't have a goal, I have a problem.
Yeah, that is how we look at it.
I don't have a goal, I have a problem. We sit down with them, we say, what is your problem? My problem is I have too much body fat. The problem is I weigh too much for my knee surgery that I want. The problem that I have is that I can't sleep, and it's causing me to gain weight. The problem is I can't, you guys, you get what I'm getting at. we're problem solvers, not necessarily exercise coaches. Exercise is the easy part.
Yeah, the exercise, I've said this since we opened the doors, we use weights. It's just the vessel that allows us to do what we do, because really there's not, as of right now, and more places like Reclaim are kind of popping up around, but which
is great.
Yeah, we are much more intentional in the health pursuit. Like really our staff, like we're a bunch of I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but it's like we're a bunch of like practitioners. We ask questions all the time. It's okay. We're Reclaim practitioners. It's fine.
Practitioners don't ask questions, do they? All right.
Good ones do.
All right. I'm not going to contribute to that. Here's the thing. It just makes no sense in my mind that you would go trying to start poking and prodding in an area if you don't understand the full scope of what you're getting into. That's why we ask questions. That's why we have questionnaires. It is not, it's not anything to do with, legal paperwork. Honestly, I need to know you, and I need to know your problem so I can give you the best advice that I have.
That's it. Yeah, we want our members, all of our members, to be the best that they can be, but that usually requires them to get over the worst that they are.
They have to give up a lot.
Right.
And giving up a lot, I'm not talking about they have to work harder. I'm not talking about having to put down the crappy food. You need to give up your vice, and you need to tell me, you need to tell you, you need to tell Bryce, you need to tell any of our coaches. You need to tell somebody what that is so we can help you over that vice.
What's that monster in the closet?
Seriously, what is it? And what is causing you to continually have to fight that over and over again? There's a lot of good stuff that we can continue to go on, but we'll run out of time if we try to cover it all. So you just want to two-part this one?
Let's do it.
We could probably do that.
More of the approach.
Some more of the approach, the mindset stuff here. In the next couple of weeks, we'll kind of finish up this one. I do think it is very important for everybody, regardless of the way you train, where you're at, what you do. You need to figure out your problem. What's your problem? Sounds weird. It is weird. We all have problems. We need to know what the problem is, because if you don't know what the problem is, you can't fix it. If you're trying to fix things that don't exist, where are you going to get? Where are you going to get?
Yeah, my example, lifting heavy weights and dealing with using weights to, suppress the symptom more, it only made my problem worse.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. James and I will sit down here next 2 weeks. We'll do another one. We'll kind of build off of this a little bit. I already got some notes that I want to continue off of, thoughts that are popping up in my head. But getting back off of a July 4th weekend, I think we covered a pretty good topic. It is not too late for your 2021 calendar year to still make some substantial progress before we roll into 2022. So figure out your problem. We talk about the why. It's just a different way to look at it. Okay, what is your why? Well, now it's what is your problem. It's a lot more personal, right? It's a lot more what is your problem? You identify. Tell me what your problem is. We're not to start fist fights in here, but anyways. All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Bullet Podcast.